Hello, I'm Forrest Shaw, and I've got a problem. Thanks for being here, everybody. I appreciate you. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you watching. I appreciate all the stuff you've done. Well, with regard to the podcast. So, I mean, in your life, I'm proud of you for that too. Unless you murdered someone, then I'm not proud of you. Please subscribe, rate, comment, all that stuff. Tell other people about the podcast. It is growing. I do appreciate that. Keep doing that. If you feel like donating money to the podcast, foreshaw.net, that's my website. Go to the podcast page. There's a donate button right there. Guess what? We got a new donation from Ryan. Thank you, Ryan, so much for sending money to the I Don't Know About That podcast. Much appreciated. There's another person who attempted to donate money, but it didn't work. But the thought that counts. Not going to say names. I don't want to put that out there. But I do appreciate you even thinking about it and trying to do it. And I haven't checked the phone logs. I'll do that next podcast. And I am going to do a comment corner starting next podcast. I reviewed the tapes. I got some notes. We're going to do it. But this week, oh, by the way, the phone number is 305. What is it? I can't see it. 305-563-7264, 305 Joe Rang, if you want to call it. With that being said, it's time for this week's edition of I've Got Another Problem.
I've got another problem.
Parking. I can't believe this wasn't one of my first ones. I hate parking. When I moved to LA, everyone was like, traffic. Traffic is sometimes bad here. It's not as bad as Miami, in my opinion, where I'm from. If you're in a major city, traffic sucks. Let's just put it that way. They keep trying to expand the highways and they can't do it fast enough. But parking is the worst in the city that I've ever seen. But I'm not talking about parking in LA. My gripe is parking in general. The fact that we have to pay for parking. Everywhere that you pay for parking, in my opinion, is unjustified. You should never have to pay for parking anywhere. If you're on the streets and there's these parking meters there, they should just figure out how much money they get in parking meters each year and tax us for that. And then you get to park for free the rest of it. Like, spread that. I mean, what is it? $1 million? Let's say it's, I don't know, $10 million across LA, split among 12 million people. Easy. It's like $1 a year. I don't know about these figures and these numbers. I could be way off. Somebody look into this. But I guess then people would keep their cars parked there all the time. No, you put a little chalk on the tire. You're only allowed to park there 5 hours for free. Then you get a ticket. I don't know. Maybe that one doesn't work. But I'll tell you where it really pisses me off. This is falling apart already. I went to a mall the other day. A mall where you're going to buy goods and services, go to a restaurant, see a movie, whatever. And they charge you by the hour to go to a mall. We were already going to spend money. And they own that parking garage. That's not the worst one. I went to a hospital the other day. I had to go to the hospital it was like a medical plaza at a hospital. And they charge you for that shit. And then it occurred to me all the times when my mom was sick and I visited hospitals and been there, all the money I had to spend to park at a fucking hospital. Again, the parking garage that the hospital owns. And we all know that the hospitals are making a shit ton of money. If you're in the medical field, there's a shit ton of money coming in. Now they got to get a little extra morsel while you're visiting someone that's dying or sick or ill. Fuck you, hospitals. And then the one I hate the most, absolutely, is hotels. Hotels that charge you to park. You're driving, a lot of the times, you're driving to a hotel. Sometimes you're not, but large majority of people are driving to hotels. And then you get there and they're like, would you like to park with us? And you're like, yeah. Like, it's $62 a night. $62 a night. Like, where? Justify that amount to me, please. 62. Sometimes it's 42. It's never less than $40 or $35 a night. I don't care what city you're in. I've been in some backward ass fucking cities and it's still $40 a night. And it's complete and utter horseshit. And then on top of that, I just want to say, where do you want me to park? What do you want me to do? Just bring the car into the room with me? Like, I need to park the car. So either make it free parking because you know you're going to be charging that anyways, or charge appropriately. If you wanted to do $10 a night there's no way you can justify $40 to $50 a night. And then the other thing, then you get your car from valet. It's always got to be valet. And then they're like waiting for a tip. And you're like, if they're not paying you $30 an hour when they're charging 40 a night per cars, I can't help you. Get a new job. I'm not fucking tip. And I've worked in service industries, large portion of my younger life. I'm a big tipper, but I feel on principle, I cannot tip that person. I still break down and tip them sometimes, to be fair, because I just feel bad. I'm like, I did the thing right. I don't have cash, but fuck you hotels, fuck you hospitals, fuck you malls. You shouldn't pay for parking. Maybe the parking meters. All right. Got a great episode. Brandon Vaughn is on today. We had a great conversation. As always, start off, we don't quite know what we're doing, and then it kind of just blossoms and we go all these different routes. And I really like where we ended up on a lot of things today. Also, this is the first episode where I start a little segment at the end of with my guests called 8 Lucky Questions, where I'm going to ask the 8 same questions. It took me a while to figure out that these are the questions. I think these are I'm going to ask the same 8 questions every episode. And what I did learn this episode is I need to send these questions to the person ahead of time, so they have a little time to look them over and have an answer. Brandon did a great job with them, and he answered them thoughtfully and well and stuff. But I do think I'm going to do that in the future. And I will say, if you think that any of these questions suck, or you have a better question maybe we should ask, this is a work in progress. I'll take your suggestions or criticisms. Doesn't mean I'm going to use them. I don't know why I'm asking for your feedback. I'm too nice. Probably not going to use it. I'm my own guy. This is my podcast. I'll do what I want. So that's at the end of the podcast. Anyways, hope you enjoy it. I'll see you on the other end. All right, everybody. I am here today with my guest, Brandon Vaughn. Brandon has been in and around the world of comedy for over a decade, and he is currently the head writer for MTV's Ridiculousness. If you want to follow him on Instagram, you can do that at Brandon Michael Vaughn. That's VAUGHN. Very formal handle that you have, Brandon. Thanks for being here.
Oh, no. Thanks for having me.
I ask everybody this. So, what's your problem?
Oh, so many, but mainly just an alcoholic, just a big alcoholic.
Yeah. And you're sober now, you told me, right?
Yeah, I got about 10 and a half years, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good amount of time.
I mean, math.
Any amount of time is good. Just want to make that clear. But over a decade, that's great. And so I'm a gambling addict. I had at one point, it was like 11 years clean. And then I've gone in and out and stuff since then. So I don't have quite as much now. But
yeah, I've actually don't think I've ever spoken to anyone about a gambling problem. I don't know anything about that world.
Yeah, it's I don't know. One of my guests that I've had a couple of other gamblers on, and they call it the silent addiction or something like that. It's funny because it's if you've been to Vegas, it's anything but silent. But it's not as well known. People don't come forth with it until it's way too late sometimes. Whereas it's not as you can tell if somebody's an alcoholic or a drug addict. I mean, there's signs physically,
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's like only the teller at your local bank knows about the gambling problem. You know what I mean? Only the accountant kind of
it's
sees
funny
those
you say
signs,
that.
I guess.
Yeah. It's funny you say that because, man, the bank tellers, I guess you could see how many overdraft fees you have in your account. That's a good sign too. But I always, when I would go to the bank, would for years try and, I don't even think they care. I think they just look at it and they're like, whatever. They're looking at so many accounts. I don't think they're actually doing a real, assessment of what's this person's like. But in my brain, they were. So I'd always be like, yeah, I gotta do another loan on my house because we're getting the pool redone, whatever. Because I was like, I owned this townhome that I took like 5 different loans out against when I was gambling. Yeah, people don't give a shit, but in your mind, you think they do, But
it's like when I would go to the liquor store and there was always like some party or something I was about to throw that I'd have to explain to them. You know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah, I got these buddies coming in town. That's why I need this pint of Four Roses bourbon at 10 in the morning. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah. You know what though? I think there's more sayings for alcoholics. I need to come up with some for gamblers. You know, like there's 5 o'clock somewhere. If it's like 9 in the morning, that's like, um,
yeah. Well, especially like, man, like the world of, you know, all the gambling apps and stuff,
yeah.
it's just, I luckily I got sober before it was like, you could Postmates cocktails and shit like that. That's
Yeah.
that seems pretty dangerous.
But still, I think if you have some of those sayings, like
Mm.
you can just, I don't know what one would be for gambling. If you got, because I've been at tables with a bunch of other degenerates in a casino, and you are kidding each other like, oh yeah, you're kind of, you
Yeah,
do the
yeah,
same thing where you just lost a bunch of money and you're just like, well, and you joke around about it, but inside you're like, oh, I'm a fucking piece of shit,
yeah,
It's,
yeah. It's like, well, next hand's the winner.
yeah. There by the way, there was briefly, I did, when I first moved to LA, I did all the gig economy stuff. As I did Uber and Lyft, and there was one called Sidecar. I don't remember that. Same thing.
Hmm.
Um, and I did Postmates and stuff. And there was one called Saucy, but it was only around for very briefly, and it was specifically alcohol, and you could throw some cigarettes in there if you wanted.
Oh,
And
nice, nice.
it was called Saucy too. I always remember like, okay, like you're getting sauced or something. I was like, all right, good job, guys. But I don't know what happened to that one. I just think I think Postmates took over everything. They're just like, fuck
Yeah,
it.
yeah. They got it.
But getting back to the 10 years, do you think, like, I know maybe like when you got sober, I don't know how it was for you, that everybody was kind of walking on eggshells around you, or they were worried about drinking in front of you, or at a dinner, or something like that, or,
Oh, oh,
and worried about, yeah.
yeah. That still comes up all the time. I get like a preface when I'm invited to things sometimes from certain people of like, there might be alcohol there. Is that okay? And it's like, oh, it's very sweet of you, but you don't need to modify your behavior because uh,
Yeah.
because I would drink everything and then make a mess of the event in the past.
So I was like more for their benefit. Like, hey, we don't want you to come here if you're gonna do
Uh,
if you're gonna do the same way as last time. Like our dog's still not the same. Yeah,
yeah, right, right. The kids still haven't stopped crying. We still haven't fixed the dent in the car, things like that. But what
yeah.
about that with gambling?
Oh yeah. Well,
Are they
sometimes
like,
people.
hey, it's the Super Bowl. Are you sure you're gonna be okay to come watch this?
Definitely that happens. I work in a lot of casinos. I'm going to be in Vegas in a week, I think, from when this comes out. And, so people are always like, how are you okay? Which I do appreciate. Um, I never want to not appreciate that, because if people aren't looking out for you, I think it's bad. Um, so I like that, but it is, I always tell them, I'm like, it's not like a proximity thing. It's, I get it. I can
Yeah, no,
gamble.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's a great point. Yeah, it's like I am there's a liquor store just across the street from my window right now, It's not the access is never really the issue.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the things that are, addictive for most part are readily available anywhere, whether it's gambling, alcohol, cigarettes, food, like just whatever you
Yeah.
want. Yeah.
Yeah, it
It's
is
all there.
it's I don't know, it's funny trying to tell people like stuff like that where it's like, oh no, you can get cocaine like anywhere at any time. It's you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
people that I guess don't get it. It's like, no, that was shit's not hard. Especially, in a big city.
Yeah. People are trying to sell it. There are people out there
Yeah,
whose jobs are to
yeah.
sell drugs. Yeah.
People are trying to
Yeah.
get money for it, so they're available. Yeah.
Yeah, they're actively trying to sell it, yeah, all the time. And especially, I don't know how to do it. On a previous podcast, we did an episode on the dark web, and I remember that was like one of the
Cool.
things, buying drugs on, um, and I guess you could do it. I mean, I don't know how you get on the internet is what I was saying. I've never done that, but
Yeah,
but
I don't know that one.
that seems risky. You'd have to know a lot more about the dark web. I don't know if you're familiar with it at all. I didn't know anything about it until the podcast. To me, it seemed like this weird world, but
No,
they
I don't know anything about that, but I've heard like younger folks in AA meetings and stuff talk about like Snapchat and TikTok, like to get drugs, which I was like, please explain this to me. How does this work?
Wow, yeah.
I'm
Signal
like,
would be another one I would think. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, I don't know. Like,
The social media. Yeah, because they tell you they're much more trusting, the younger generation of technology. I
yeah,
remember we wouldn't even talk on the phone when we were like getting drunk. It was like all coded,
yeah,
thinking your phones were tapped, or something like that. And
yeah. And
now
now it's
it's
like a
easy.
random Snap account, you know.
Yeah.
And
That would be really
but instead of code words, it's like emojis. A
yeah.
certain string of emojis means what you're looking for. It's like, yeah,
Which is
it sounds fun.
it seems fun, but I'm saying that's way less discreet than words. At least if you had a coded word, like if you put up like
Yeah.
a leaf, or for
Right, yeah.
food or
It's not
something
like
like
yeah, it's not that incredibly hard to discern what the snow emoji, um, and the number
yeah,
emoji and a dollar emoji might mean.
yeah. That's the dollar address. No one will get this. But I've seen a commercial for WhatsApp, and they said it's all coded. We don't even know what's on there, so I trust them.
I trust him.
Um, yeah, so funny. But I mean, it does also feel like, especially when they legalized weed and stuff like that, that drugs are probably, they're probably safe for these kids, but I don't know.
Yeah,
Um,
they'll be fine.
yeah. Beer, good old fashioned beer or booze. Were you like beer, booze? Was it anything? I mean, I'm any kind of gambler. It didn't matter.
Yeah. No, it was anything, but mainly just liquor. Just I kind of went all in on just hard liquor all the time, pretty quick.
Yeah.
It wasn't a very gradual thing for me. And then um, yeah, then like I had like a big cocaine phase, which was great because mainly just because then I could drink more and longer. And then yeah, it was funny because I remember like overdosing on cocaine, going to the hospital and shit, and then um uh I remember that they gave me this IV of like some sort of a Xanax type thing, right? Like some sort of was it Ativan, something to just calm me down, chill me out, and and it worked like really good. Like I was so relaxed and carefree after they did that. That then when this doctor tried to give me this big like fucking anti-drug, what are you doing with your life? Talking to like I was so blissed out on this. I was like, who cares, man? I'm like, you're 10 minutes too late. Because now I don't give a shit. And then um, I remember being like, what? I should really stop doing so much cocaine. So uh, I should definitely leave Kentucky and move to Los Angeles. That was a big part of me. I'm like, maybe if I go to LA, I'll drink less and do less drugs.
That is
Which
so
is a
fun.
great.
That is such like an addict brain to think. You're like, LA, there's sun out there, right? You're
Yeah,
not doing
you're like, I gotta go to Vegas to stop all this gambling.
Yeah. It's what a fun literally I had probably been in LA, I don't know, maybe 4 months. And I do a lot of work. I know a lot of people listen to the podcast too, but with Jim Jeffries, and I had
Okay.
I was opening for him at I think the Nokia, something like that, some big thing in LA. And afterwards, we went to this rooftop party at the Standard. I think we're at the Standard downtown. And this is such a great introduction to LA here. And I was with some friends of ours that were actors, like some pretty well known actors, and they brought us to this one hotel room, and it was like all these Asian. I think they're Japanese, they're Asian, and there was like there was like a DJ in this room, and all the lights were off, and there was like it was like a club.
Uh-huh.
Nobody spoke English. They all spoke, I'm pretty sure they were Japanese, but they were speaking whatever language. So he couldn't communicate with anybody. And I was like, how do you know these people? He goes, I just, one of the guys was a producer and something, in a film. And I was like, okay. So we're in there for a while. Then we go to the rooftop and we have this little seating area and it's packed. The Standard rooftop was packed. It was like this beautiful night. And we had this little kind of VIP area. And then everybody left and it was just me and one guy. Yeah, it was definitely Japanese. And it was just me and him. He didn't speak any English. And then he just goes, party? You like to party? Like he knew very limited English. I go, yeah. I thought he was like, do you like the party? I go, yes, this is great. And I was holding a drink like this, in my hand. Let me like right this. And then he just took a vial of cocaine and just dumped it on my right here, like a huge line. And then I was like, oh, he means like that. And then I was staring at it, kind of laughing, and he kept going like this. Like he was explaining to me.
I like the 2-hand symbol.
Yeah. It was very, and I was like, yeah, and I was just laughing, and I was like, all right, I guess I'm supposed to do. I guess this is how you move to LA. They're like, some guy will give you cocaine on a rooftop, then you snort it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I remember before I moved out here, doing cocaine was like, it's like Gollum in the Ring. Like anyone that had a bag, it was like, you did not want anyone to. No one would. They had to be like your best friend if someone's going to share a line or something. You know what I mean? And then I remember coming out here and like people asking it, like even like small little, daytime barbecues or something. People being like, "You want to go do a line?" I was like, "Wow, I am in the land of sunshine."
Yeah, I've talked about this before. I've drank, I've done all sorts of drugs and stuff. I won't say I haven't abused alcohol and drugs at certain times or nights, or something like that. That's for certain. But it's never had like a hold on me the way gambling does. I've never had like what I consider anything like addiction to that. But I'm from Miami, which, speaking of cocaine, and then I moved to LA. So it's like out of the frying pan and into the other frying pan as far as and when I moved here, there was like a brief period where I did, I was doing a good amount of stuff, and then I just stopped because I was getting older, and I was just like, I was afraid I would, die. So it wasn't like a problem. I was just like, I'm not going to do that anymore. So I don't even know. When you said overdose, that scares me. I don't know what an overdose. I don't think I know what an overdose is because I always assumed when I was younger, and I know now it's not, but overdose means you die, but you can overdose and have something like you had. So it's like,
I just, I remember just like, I was a waiter and I just was doing a bunch of lines in between running out of food at this restaurant. And then at a certain point I was like, everything was like just going black. You know what I mean? Like, the end of a Looney Tunes thing. And I like suddenly, like I couldn't, like I was having trouble hearing, I was having trouble breathing. My heart was like, it's like I felt it on my sternum. And, I remember just like I just walked out of this restaurant and just started walking towards this hospital. I mean, it was so dramatic. Like I just walked out like, and then
wait. Okay, first of all, kudos to walking out of the restaurant because that would have been really embarrassing.
Lost the job. The hospital would have been like half a mile away. It was like in the downtown.
That's what I was asking. Yeah.
Yeah, so it wasn't that ridiculous, but I was just like, oh, I need this resolved right now, And,
and so you go into hospital, you're like, I'm ODing, and they bring you in right away, I'm assuming, right? Or
they did, yeah, they did, and took care of it. I didn't, it wasn't as brutal as I guess some things were, but
that sounds terrible. I mean, the Looney Tunes.
No, but it was terrible. It was raining too. Like it was just very dramatic, It was but still, not. still had another 10 years left in me. So you
Oh,
would think that would be the like, or at least, a memorable rock bottom. I remember like I didn't even think about it till like a few years after I was sober. I was like, oh yeah, I guess there were there were some signs, you know. But you were talking about like stand up and yeah, like I moved out here to do stand up and um yeah, did it a lot and that loved it and things were going like pretty well, But like upward, slowly, in the grind of the LA like all stand up scene or whatever. And then I just kept noticing that like I was so scared that I would get drunk and fuck up some opportunity, that I just started turning down shit all the time, you know?
yeah.
Uh, so it's almost like I heard someone say one time that like normal people will adjust their behavior to meet their goals, but addicts will adjust their goals to keep doing their behavior. And like that was definitely the case with me. And like that was the kind of stuff like I was feeling like that was sort of like the rock bottom ish stuff that started to really connect with me, like totaling cars and ruining relationships and scaring people and stuff never really like shook me out of it, but to be like, God, you're such a fucking coward, what are you doing, like that's the stuff that really started to make me go like, oh man, you have a problem because you can't even like do this thing anymore.
Yeah.
That was a real bummer.
Yeah. That's, the goals thing. Maybe I've heard that. There's so many things that whoever came up with these kind of colloquialisms or
Yeah,
saying, whoever,
there's so
uh,
many of them, and then some of them like kind of cancel the other one out, and it's just I guess whatever ones stick with you.
that one's good though. I like that with the goals because I have canceled a lot of things from a casino. I go somewhere where there's not like ding, 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 ding and stuff. You go to like a quiet corner and you're like, yeah, we gotta like move that, whatever. And you're just I want to keep gambling, or I've gambled all night and then, it's 6 a.m. and I'm supposed to do something. And I'm like, well, I guess I got to cancel that. Um, and, that's always a sure sign too. I had, God, my stepdad was, my mom married somebody that was a compulsive gambler as well. Like my stepdad. So like, bad odds on that, but my mom did it, she got to in there and it's very funny when you are because it was my first, like if I know other compulsive gamblers, I've, made friends with a lot of people and, supportive kind of ways, but seeing someone lie to me straight up, that's another compulsive gambler. I'm like, you can't lie to me. I know all the shit. And that's what he would do to me. Yeah. He would lie to me. Like he told me when he was away for a year, he was going to meetings, but they didn't give out the 90-day or the year coins. And I'm like, of course, what, only in Pennsylvania then, or he would he would cancel a lot of things, always canceling things. And then he would say to me, like, I would like to see you other than coming out to your comedy show. Because like right when I started comedy, I'm like, you've literally canceled the last 12 things. Like, I know what you're doing. You're gambling. Like, but yeah, he would always be watching. I have a friend that I told this to, he always thinks about it. Unless you went to the University of Hawaii or the team they're playing, if you're gambling on that team, I mean, if you're watching that game, you're probably gambling on it because
yeah.
It's for in college football, they play everyone, I don't know if some people don't know like sports on the spot, but that you gamble all Saturday or most of the games. And University of Hawaii, if they're playing a home game, is the latest possible game. So sometimes they'll have an 11 p.m. kickoff.
Yeah.
And if you've lost X amount of money during the day, a lot of times you're like, well, I guess I'm loaded up on Hawaii, on this Hawaii game here. Hawaii, San Jose State at 11 p.m.
Yeah, double or nothing at the midnight
100%.
football game.
There's I don't know what the stats are. I would love to talk to a bookie and see how much money is put on Hawaii home games during the course of the season, but I know it's a lot.
It's so funny. It's so funny. Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
that
anyways,
is the,
I saw him watching Hawaii games, like when he was. I'm like, yeah, I know there's no way you're into this fucking game right here. You're gambling on,
yeah.
yeah,
Well, what is it like? What's that world like, uh, internally, like in your mind, you know? Because I mean, so much of like the drinking and using stuff is just, the never-ending rationalizations, right? And so much of, like I'm in Alcoholics Anonymous, and so much of like the 12-step stuff is trying to make sure you're looking at life, as it actually is,
yeah,
and not your weird the manipulation filters, But like when it comes to gambling, like, that must be so hard because things like sports betting, right? It's like there are stats you can look at. There are like actual like calculations you can make. It seems like or even with cards, it's like there is a methodology that
sure,
there's a skill that you could have. So I just imagine that would keep you out there a lot longer than
yeah.
than
There,
it takes. Just
I don't know the exact
were
saying.
you into that? Were you like really into like sports statistics, and
Yeah.
or were
So
you just on the fly? I guess is what.
no. Because we don't know each other that well, but I was a marine biologist in a former life before I was a
Okay.
comedian. So science is my background. I really like statistics. I like data. I like numbers. So
Yeah.
I'm way into that. Like I like reading a box score of a game that I didn't even watch, just because I love basketball or baseball or even
Yeah.
hockey and stuff like that. So I love all that stuff. So I really get behind it. But there's a couple of things. There's there is like some saying, and I forget exactly how it is. Speaking of sayings and all this stuff, where it's just like that. Some people, with gambling, you always believe that you're one win away from being that's the allure or
Uh-huh.
being like right or whole. But I've
Right.
talked about it on this podcast many times. You're still filling all the same holes, like
Yeah.
emotionally. And I've known that because I've so far in my podcast I've talking to alcoholics, drug addicts, cigarettes we've talked about, gambling. We've done everything, not everything, but we've done a lot of addictions on it. And it's the same themes always of what you're trying to, these holes that you're trying to plug up, whether
Yeah.
it's with alcohol or drugs or gambling or food or whatever. And so it's all comes from the same place, but it is with gambling, there are those things to trick you into it, like, which is part of the way they made games of chance. I mean,
Hmm.
there are games that are, like you said, you can study stuff and be more educated. If you play blackjack the exact right way, it's almost half. But you don't. But if let's say that if you play blackjack by yourself the exact right way, it's almost 50-50 between you and a casino. There's a couple things there though. It doesn't mean you're going to win. They could go on a run and you could lose. But the
Right.
main thing is you're not going to stop when you're supposed to stop. Like you're going to keep going
Right.
because you're just fueling that, and you need the money to get more gambling. So I tell people always like the money is just the booze or the cocaine. If you have
Totally.
money in your hand, if you have a bag of cocaine, you're not gonna, and you're an addict, you're not gonna put it in your pocket at 1 a.m. I'm like, I'm going to bed. So it's the same thing with gambling. It's like if I have money in my pocket, man, maybe if it's like 7, 8, 9 in the morning and I can't keep my eyes open anymore, if I still have money, then yeah, then I'll take it and go home. But I'm still gonna wake up in the morning, see a pile of money, and be like, "Look at all this fuel I have to go back out."
No, totally. I
Yeah,
mean, I would just like stuff would have to be dumped out. Like that was the only like
yeah,
stopping. Like I'd have like some lucid moment,
yeah.
and the remainder of the bottle in the bag would just be
Yeah,
dumped in the toilet, and then of course I was instantly angry,
yeah,
with myself. But it's funny, man, because I have a lot of friends that are, like super into like fantasy football, and I got a buddy that like, even does like a sports gambling podcast, and it's like when I hear them talk about this stuff, it's like I get so excited. Like I said, like I'm just like, oh, this I would be so good at this. I would be so good at gambling, even though like I'm pretty dumb, and I'm not
yeah.
even that into sports. You know what I mean? But I'm
But,
just like,
but
I live with the way they talk. I'm like, I feel those like that same, that hole you're talking about, like feeling
yeah,
start like getting bigger. And it's the same way where like I never was into
like opiates or pills and stuff like that. I remember like fucking around with some Vicodin one time and just instantly knowing like, oh, I will die. Uh, that I will die. Like I can't do this. Let's just cut this off and stick with what we've been doing. And I sort of would get that same vibe around gambling.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, I can see this ruining my life right away.
Yeah, and you might gamble, you might have that feeling, and you might do it, and you might not. It's just for me with some drugs that I've done in my life. I've had that thinking like, oh, I could see since I'm an addict that I get into this, and I didn't, but I still had that feeling. So you just like, I'm not going to do this, but it's so really interesting you said, because I think sometimes I tell people I'm a gambling addict or compulsive gambler, and I think they think it means you're a bad gambler. Because that's the logic, but it's like, I would ask people, if you're an alcoholic, are you bad at drinking, or do you know everything about drinking? Like cocaine, like if like you haven't done coke in forever, but if I was like, oh, what do I do with this? How do I prepare this? It'd be like muscle memory for you, and so you're good at it. Like you're really good at doing drugs and so it's so funny. Like,
it's like, yeah, I'm an alcoholic. I have a really high tolerance. It's like that kind of thing. It's like, no, I can just stay in it longer than you can. Same thing with the gambling. It's like, no, I won't leave the table when you would have left the table, kind of thing.
Well,
we're tough. We're just fucking tough.
If I'm in Vegas, everyone that I know that I'm very close to knows that I'm a gambling addict, and so going back to the very beginning of this, what we talked about. If I'm in Vegas with friends doing shows, they'll be like, oh, is it okay if I go gamble? And by the way, some of these people are sober, recovering alcoholics. And I go, yeah, I'll go with you. I'll have a drink and you can gamble. Like we can both do these, So I've literally sat at a blackjack table with friends of mine that are recovering alcoholics while they're gambling. And it's fine. And sometimes I've said to them, I'll be watching them play and I'll say, like, if they're playing blackjack, I'm like, you're supposed to split that. You're supposed to double that. And then they tell me like, no, you're not, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I know you think I'm a bad gambler, but I'm telling you this is exactly what you're supposed to do. Yeah. People are like, well, you lost all your money. Yeah, I didn't lose my money because I didn't know what I was doing. I just continued to do it forever. So
you're like, I just did it until that happened.
Yeah. I'm very good at gambling. I know all about it. Trust me. I know all the terms and this and that,
I don't actually. I was in Vegas one time and I tried to play blackjack and I didn't know any of those things, like all the little like rules. And I just remember like everyone at the table being so mad at me.
Yeah.
What shit I was doing. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know about, it's like, oh, if you get these cards, you're supposed to do this. And it was like just the glares from these people.
Yeah. You're supposed to, you're supposed to vary up your bets. If you can count cards, great, you can do that. But you're supposed to, do like betting strategies, and you're supposed to always double in the certain scenarios if you can, because those are all things that you can do to it doesn't mean you're going to win, but that's what you're supposed to do. And so people would tell me that. And then I would tell people, like I told my friend the other day, he likes sports betting, and not the other day, this was during college basketball. And I go, oh, there's this system. There's all these systems when you're gambling, like you were talking about odds and numbers and stuff like that. And so I know people that, and again, by the way, I've mentioned this before, the best prognosticators of sports, usually if they have a good season, they're at a 55 to 60% success rate.
No, okay.
55, 60% is you are
an oracle.
Yeah. You are, what's his name in casino? Ace. Because they always say in casino, they're like, he always picked winners. I'm like, he didn't always pick winners. Trust. There's no way. But like, even if he was at 65, you would be a god. You know what I'm saying? Like because you're making money then, but not as much as you think. You're just above. But so I told somebody a system for gambling in college basketball, and they're like, yeah, but you're a compulsive gambler. I'm like, well, this works. If you want to do it, I don't do it anymore. And they go, but you lost money. I'm like, yeah, I bet on a million other things. I would bet on like women's bowling without even odds. I'd make them give me odds at the bookie. Like I was a fucking maniac, So, but
so they'll do that. That you could call a bookie and just bet on anything.
Well, it depends. Almost everything now is so automated. I don't know if there's real bookies out there anymore. I'm sure there are, but I had like, okay, I would call my bookie Little League World Series. I had to make odds for over unders. Of course, we didn't do player stats or anything, but I was just like over under on Japan versus Southern California. He's 12-year-old kid, and he would give them
Yeah.
to you. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true story. Yeah. The women's bowling thing was just, I was sitting around with some friends and we gambled on it one night, but we did it. And sometimes you would like inform the bookies, like on Martin Luther King Day in the NBA, historically, they've played games at noon, like usually New York Knicks and some other teams. They have day games no matter what I think it's on, well, I guess what it's observed on is a Monday usually. And so I would call my bookie at like 9 or 10 in the morning and like wake him up. What are you doing? I'm like, there's a noon game, dude. Get out of bed. Like, you got to know this shit.
Let's get on it.
This is for your wallet, man.
Yeah, it's Martin Luther King. You don't know. I know later on I will be celebrating the history of Martin Luther, but yeah, so it's those are all true stories. Like I think it depends on your bookie. Someone, you know, there's a lot of bookies that were degenerates themselves because they're laying off the bets. Do you know what that means? So they'll like
laying off. No.
Yeah. So if there's just a guy, just some guy, he's not affiliated with any organized crime or anything like that, he could be a bookie. And because he's got enough friends where he was like taking action because he knows a guy that might be a more dangerous person, let's just say, if you're owing money to them. And so I know people like this. And eventually he got tired of just taking everybody's bets. So he started taking the action. And you would lay off so this is, I shouldn't be, it doesn't matter. It's a gambling, it's an addiction podcast, but just for educational purposes, if there's a game, let's just say it's New England against the Denver Broncos. If 10 people bet on New England and 10 people bet on the Denver Broncos, the casinos love that. They want even amount of people because there's a VIG, they call it, or the interest for the losers. So if you lose your bet, you lose it plus 10%. So the casino's sitting there just like, we're making 10% off $1 million on all these. Let's say it's 1,000 bets and 1,000 bets. That's what they love. That's why they adjust lines to try and make the public bet on other stuff. So if you're just a guy at your house, let's say you don't have that much money, you take all these bets from people that you know. But if there's one that's really lopsided, like you're like, I can't cover this, then they'll call this other person and like, hey, I got some action for you. I'm going to put 100 grand on whatever. And now the thing is now they owe it to that person. So if you don't pay the guy,
scary person. Yeah.
If you don't pay the guy that's living in suburbia, he's got to answer to them. So then the guy in suburbia hires some muscle to scare you because they don't give a fuck. The scarier people, they don't give a shit. But like they know what's happened. They 100% know, but they don't care. So then it becomes this real world of like perpetuating violence, that can occur. And it's real. It's a real world, So and I think that's with anything. I mean, I think like it's like you said, there's all these repercussions with that whatever addiction there is. I mean, you said you did get fired from that job where you walked out and you OD'd.
I did, yeah.
They weren't like sympathetic to you at all, or like
no. I don't think I told them the full story either. But
they're like, he was our best waiter. He was like really quick. He was like on top of it.
Yeah. Just the filling up waters constantly. Just to have something to do.
Filling up waters, and he had a lot of conspiracy theories he was talking about at the same time.
Yeah. Well, I used to like take the Coke and this was probably so wasteful in hindsight, but it worked. I would empty like an Afrin and put the Coke in it and water. So I could just like so I could just like, it's just like, oh, my nose is stuffy. Like when I'm like refilling a soda in the little like waiter station. And it works pretty well. So that's how I could just be fucked up all the time.
Like Brandon's got terrible allergies. He really does.
Yeah. It's like Steve Urkel level, just sinus problems.
Now, that obviously would be wasteful overall, but did you still feel effects from it? Like that?
Yeah. No, it worked. It worked very well. I just imagine. When I think of all like the Coke residue that must have just been in the bottle or like stuck in the tube or something that they would have lost out on as a struggling waiter.
you got to air dry that. And when you get a little
scrape something. Yeah.
You'll probably have one line out of the whole thing. You're like, I did it. Yeah, cool.
It's like I remember like people that would kind of like scrape the resin out of their like weed pipes and stuff, and it's like, let's just go get some more weed. This isn't gonna do it.
You know what your Afrin thing reminded me of? The Crocodile Dundee. I think it's the first one where you cocaine.
What's funny is that's what I was thinking of when you were talking about the Asian gentleman giving you all the coke remember you telling him to like lean over.
That is a similar thing that he was doing. But he was going like he was remember that was a lot of cocaine in Crocodile Dundee.
It was yeah.
Because I think she even says, she's like, that was about $1,000. She says some number, and I don't remember what it was. But I love in movies that's like, why would you have that much cocaine on the table? Like, unless you just have this mountain. Yeah. That's just, and he was doing like line after, which I know people will do multiple lines, but it seemed like he was just constantly doing it.
And he wasn't no one else was doing it in the scene, I don't think. And
it was on like somebody's chopping block where they prepare their dinners.
Yeah. Like in he did it. He had like a half cup full of cocaine.
He puts it in the. Also, what person doing cocaine would be like? Yeah, I guess you could throw it in the water. I mean, I've never heard of this, but it seems legit.
You're wearing a cool vest, cool hat. He must know something.
But I will say, now, based on what you told me about the Afrin, I do believe he would have still gotten high initially off the steam. Maybe.
I think it would have worked. I think it would have taken a long time, though. I remember it being like a lot of water.
Yeah, it's a lot of water, and they put
like
a towel
someone's gonna boil a lobster in whatever that was heating up. I think maybe if you had like a smaller like camping stove.
Yeah, there should be a Mythbusters for that. They should have done like a Mythbusters for the.
Yeah. I gotta know.
Yeah, he does peek up. I'm gonna have to rewatch the scene now, but I just bet.
I never did the thing where like, what do they call it? Like boofing, where like they put the cocaine up their butt.
Oh no, I don't know this.
I never. I just liked snorting. I just actually like really enjoyed the action of snorting things. So I never really did any other experiments. But I do remember like actually not too long ago had talking to someone that had a more intense coke problem than me and going like, oh, does that work? Is it better? And they were like, yes.
Wait, it's better if you start out of someone's butthole?
No, they like just insert like a clump of coke in the anus, and they were like no hesitation. They're like way better, much higher. I was like, good to know. I didn't.
Well, that makes sense. I think
it does. But.
I mean, if you do an edible, it's way different than you smoke pot. You know what I'm saying? And it's absorbing in your blood. So, but I thought you were snorting it out of the asshole, which I was like, okay.
That just sounds like hot in a weird way, depending on the person. But no, I don't think I did that either. That sounds tight.
I don't want to stick anything up my butt. That's the problem for that.
No, that's why it never occurred to me. But
yeah, I had to do I had a colon. It wasn't a colon because they make you drink the thing for a colonoscopy. I had to do an enema one time, and that was already trying to shove that up my butt was like a whole thing. I remember at the time I had a bunch of cats, and they were just watching me curiously, like lying on a towel on the floor, shoving this thing, trying to shove something up my butt, and I just couldn't do it.
Yeah. You're like, Daddy's trying to get healthy, and you're freaking him out.
Yeah, they were just like, this is not normal behavior.
Did you just sort of stop, or are you in like a program, or what's gambling recovery stuff like?
Yeah, I don't mind talking.
Does it also become like, anyway, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't mind talking about it. It's fine because I and you mentioned 12-step program, so that's fine. I mean, some people Yeah, they tell you the no media, this, that, exactly, and stuff. In my personal opinion, I believe that is like kind of an old school rule based on the way we live life now. Like I
Yeah.
did
Well,
Zoom meetings over COVID. We were doing Zoom meetings, and at one point we were doing meetings just in a park where people were jogging by, and people were like, if they wanted to hear what was going on, it was like anything but anonymous.
yeah, I guess I just think about it in terms of like, hey man, like there's a thing I do. I'm in this thing, but I certainly am not a representative of
Yeah,
it in any way. You know what I mean?
true.
If you think I am an asshole or something, please don't think that means this thing
Yeah.
doesn't work or can't help
No,
you.
no, that for, I mean, I guess for people that don't know, is that is the worry, or that if someone's a representative of one of his programs and then they were to fall off the
Totally.
wagon per se or whatever, that some
Well,
people perceive that as like as this doesn't work or this is negative or whatever, which people have that opinion anyways, even if that's not happening. But I get that.
right.
But for me, I I initially went into like nothing. I just kept telling myself I was going to stop, and I didn't. And so then I went to a meeting. I literally thought they were going to write me a check there. I don't know why I thought that. And then that was a recurring theme. Like I really thought part of the program was like, and we'll just clear your debts for you and you pay us back slowly. Like I really thought, because I think it was because they said if you are having if you're having financial problems, we'll do a pressure relief thing. And I was like, cool. So we're going to pay that off. Good. And that is not what happens. Which of course that isn't what happens. But I did that, and that was the first thing that really worked for me. And I kind of went in and out at the beginning until it stuck, because I was kind of like writing my own program, as they say, whatever, and until I really was like, okay, this will work if I try.
Oh,
And
that's so interesting because I don't think I've ever heard of there being like a place to go,
yeah,
like a physical
there
place to
is.
go, because I guess that was my um, initial like concern. It's like there, for people on substances and stuff, there's a place they can go and dry out safely, as well
Yeah.
as these other things. But yeah, I guess do they just take away your phone and keep sports off the TV?
Well,
Or
I've never been to a like a rehab. So there are rehabs you can do for gambling. There are programs you can enter. It is very difficult for your insurance to cover that because
oh wow,
insurance still doesn't look at it the same way. I mean, it's not, that doesn't mean that it won't. There are cases that it will, but your insurance is way more apt to do something for drugs or alcohol as far as in my experience. But there are programs you can go into. There are rehab centers you can go to. I imagine they would if they didn't take away your phone, what would be the point at this point? I mean, it's so easy to gamble
yeah.
on your phone. Um, and there are also like there's tons of rooms. There's not as many 12-step meetings as there are for NA or AA, and they're way smaller. And that doesn't mean there's less people gambling. It just means there's less people that, again, as we talked about at the beginning, the silent addiction, and people keep going on. And it's the highest suicide rate of any addiction. It's because of that, because people are, I think, I don't have the data to prove, but I think because you can hide it and disguise it so much more, you get to that point of no return where people are like, well, I'm just going to off myself. Um, and
Oh, totally. I mean, I don't know the anything involving like money, money troubles, like the um I'm really fortunate with I got a great job, but man, I have such fear of like financial insecurity kind of stuff, that um that's the thing like with the gambling stuff, man, where I'm just like when you said it has the highest suicide rate, I'm like, man, that would be me.
yeah,
Anything that would dig me in a kind of hole like that, and I think that's ultimately what made at a certain point I stopped doing cocaine and then just turned the drinking to an all day, all night thing. It's like, okay, I'll do less cocaine, but we'll just drink first thing in the morning, all the time, and
yeah,
and but um big part of that was like, oh man, I'm gonna get in so much debt. And
Yeah.
I don't know, that seems to scare me more than DUIs or wrecking
Yeah.
cars and shit like that for some reason.
Well, but as far as the rooms are concerned, just to finish up that thought too, and then
Sorry, sorry.
no, because you made me think of something. But I mean, if anyone listening does have a gambling problem and you know what to do, I mean, I always suggest trying a meeting because they started in LA. That's where GA started, Gamblers Anonymous in Los Angeles. There's plenty of meetings. You can go to gamblersanonymous.org and there's the same as any other one. You put in your zip code and it'll tell you where the closest meeting is. Now, there aren't as many as other addictions, but they are available. And if you are somewhere where you can't drive to one, that's too far, there's online ones that they do now too,
Yeah.
thanks to technology. So that's good. But it is, I'm sure you've heard this. Maybe you say this, like some people, I just saw a post by Robbie Williams, the singer, you know, the British singer, and he was saying that his ADHD, his addiction, like all these things, I don't look at as a bad thing. I look them as they made me who I am and made me strong and stuff. And I always look at that with addiction as like I try to take the things that my addiction made me stronger about like in a positive way. And it's weird to say, like I had learned how to operate without money because there's so many times I didn't have money. But it's like this razor edge thing. So I had like this thing happen to me last year where I got robbed when I was on the road and I lost a lot of things, including my life and stuff like that. And it really was like this massive setback for me. And if I was a normal person who hadn't been in and out of gambling the last however many years, you would have been like, okay, we'll figure this out. But that was like cut me down to nothing, basically. Yeah. And if it weren't for like the generosity of certain people in my life, I probably would have been homeless, you know, and I've started to recover from that finally, you know, but I also am comfortable living in that space, you know what I'm saying? Where from gambling, and I kind of looked at it like, well, it's a good thing I'm a gambler, but it is because of gambling. So it's a weird thing. But I also look at money differently now in a way that I'm like, and it sounds so hippie thing, but I'm like, material things aren't as important as you think, because when you don't have anything or you don't have money, you really start to you look at the world differently. Now, of course, you always want a roof over your head. You want food on the table. You want that, of course. I'm not saying like, you know, hey man, just, you know, live in a hammock and like, but I did start to look at things differently because I've had a house, I've had a boat, I've had a car. I don't have those things anymore. You know, I lost most of those things due to gambling, you know, the things that I had. But I also appreciate that more, and I appreciate the things I do have more. And then I look at things like, you know what? I don't need that. I don't need another pair of sneakers. I don't need my car to be at this level or whatever and stuff. So I try to at least flip things to look like that, you know? But you know, and I think a lot of people that I've heard before say, well, this is the best thing ever happened to me because now my life's together. And if you really are, whatever works for whatever's worked for you to get this far, everybody, you just keep doing that. And then you look back and now you're kind of thankful because you're like, I don't know if my life would be this good if I hadn't gone through all that shit. I'd rather it be this good and not have gone through all that shit. Like, that would be the dream scenario, but at least I've learned from something. And there's so many people in this world you meet that are even older than me that, man, they haven't learned a fucking thing their whole life.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
I think that's a great point. And I mean, I did spend like several years in this kind of self-pity, like, oh, I'm an alcoholic. I have this like flaw. I have this genetic flaw. And you know, I have this shame that, you know, but then when I started to realize that, like, you know, once you kind of clean yourself up and, you know, work on yourself in whatever manner, and you start to be able to be real with yourself and really like look at yourself, I and to do that often, like you said, it's like when you realize that like nobody does that. Nobody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like people have to have like a huge life event to take a moment to self-reflect. And then a lot of them still don't change, you know what I mean? So I do have a lot of gratitude in the fact that, um, yeah, I am pretty self-aware for good or bad, you know. It's not always a pleasant thing, but you know, I have a lot of people in my life who, like you said, you know, it's like, have you learned anything
Yeah.
in the last 30 years of your life? Like, did you
Yeah.
graduate high school and no new information came into your head, regardless of consequences or mistakes? And
Yeah.
you know, I do think, you know, like you said, it's like, well, you know, I wish I got here without all the shitty parts, but you know, I wish it was like the end of Back to the Future, where I just came home one day and like everything is how I wished it had been. You know, his parents are
Yeah.
wealthy and happy, and he's got the cool truck. You know, but
Yeah.
you know,
Hopefully,
it was a bit of a gift to not just be on kind of autopilot in a way that I think a lot of people are until something pretty bad happens in their life.
yeah. Yeah, and I don't think either of us are saying we're perfect. So if anyone's thinking that,
Oh no,
um,
I'm the worst
it's
type,
yeah,
you know,
but
but
I'm not. But
but you know, I
I mean, you
I
said you're
know
from
a couple
Kentucky,
of
right?
things. Yeah.
I'm from Florida, so we both know a bunch of people back home from those states that are, you know,
Yeah.
could do with a little self help. I'm sure.
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Um. Okay, so before we finish up here, I'm trying something new
Yeah.
this is the first time I'm doing this. It's called 8 Lucky Questions. And they're questions. You know what? I thought I should probably send these to my guests ahead of time so they can look at them, but they're not hard. So I'm gonna ask these 8 questions to all my guests from now forward. You're the first, and it's 8 questions because I don't know, as it's just a little back. I was trying to figure out how many. I didn't want to do 12 because that's like too corny with 12-step stuff.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then I thought about gambling stuff, and 8 is always like a lucky number for casinos, especially with the Asian community as the number, because I believe the number 8 in Chinese sounds almost the same as the word for wealth. I think
Okay.
that's the reason. That's what it was explained to me as one time because I don't know Chinese, but I know that 8 is always like this huge number. I guess I did 8, whatever. So these are just you don't have to make like one word answers. There's one that says one word answer, but not you don't have to go on and on about it. But you can take as long as you want. So here you go. 8 Lucky Questions, first edition. Brandon was not prepped for this. If your addiction had a theme song, what would it be?
Ooh.
Should have sent these ahead of time.
Oh no, that's a good one. Man,
I'm already seeing the error of my ways. I'm like,
no, no,
why did I not
I
think
was
of it ahead
thinking
of time? Yeah,
I was thinking of like the you know the Joy Division song Disorder.
I do actually. I
I was
don't know.
just thinking of
Yeah,
something gloomy and droning. My all most of 99% of my using took place in the dark alone, you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
listening to
So some
sad
80s
music.
emo.
So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
All
A
right.
lot of bass for bass is good for pouting, I think.
We'll say disorder, Jordan. That's okay.
Well,
Well, what's
sorry.
a small thing someone did that helped you more than they actually know?
Um, in terms of like recovery
Yeah,
type
or
stuff.
just anything. Yeah, yeah. I would say. Yeah.
Um, I had a thing going on last year where like I was really kind of falling apart, and yeah, this random couple of people in this you know, recovery rooms. I mean, they really like swooped in and took care of me. I mean, just called me all the time and met me anywhere I went, and it was, you know, I mean, you know, they went from being total strangers to, I mean, my primary support system kind of overnight, and
Yeah.
it's just, and then still are constantly in my life, and it's just wild. I mean, it's just a real beautiful thing that happened.
That's
It means a
awesome.
lot.
What's the dumbest excuse you ever told yourself to justify your addiction or to keep doing drugs or drinking? Like,
Oh, you know what? I got like really into telling myself that it was just like my medicine.
Mm.
you know, and like I got it. It's just like, it's just my medicine. Like some people need whatever. I do this. And in order to justify that, I used to carry around one of those like little field notes, like pocket notebooks. And I would like I would like measure everything, like a food diary, but like of how much I was drinking. And for some reason, like it's like I would chug like a pint of rum on my drive home from work. And you know, since I wrote it down first, now it's like not weird.
It's in there. And then my medication.
No, I had a special little a portfolio like that kept a pen in it, you know, that like made
yeah,
me feel like, no, you got this.
little
It's
moleskin
in a
notebook.
Yeah, it's in a
Yeah.
book. You're not weird.
You know what's funny? And I don't have any data to support this, but I feel like rum is like a big drink for alcoholics. Like, I don't think people just drink rum. It just seems like a drink that people abuse or whatever, because it's such like it's like such a vacation
Yeah,
drink. The only time people are drinking it. Otherwise, it's like, why are you drinking rum if you're not
yeah.
on vacation?
I would pour it in like a large McDonald's Diet Coke,
Yeah.
so that I could just. It seemed like an easy thing I could just always be carrying around, and
Yeah.
nobody would question.
You don't want the calories. You do the Diet Coke. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um, what do you think is the worst addiction? No judgments here.
Ooh. Um. Yeah. Man, anything opiate related. In my time in like recovery rooms and stuff, the one thing I've noticed about anything opiate related is those people miss it. Like I don't really miss drinking. I don't really miss staying up all night, like, you know,
Mm.
panicking, snorting stuff. I had some good times, but I don't like miss it. I feel like people that were into like heroin and stuff, man, they talk about it like that was the shit, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
always seems like a real hard thing to kick.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm going to reword that question. All addictions are bad. What do you think? This is the first time, Brandon. We're doing this is a beta test here. So.
Oh no, I know what you mean. Was that too grim an answer?
No. I'm just thinking from my personal, like the way I'm wording it. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do that differently. I'm going to do this one differently. I'm going to send it ahead of time. What one word? Here you go. What one word would you use to describe your addiction?
Boring. I was real
Boring.
boring, man. I didn't do anything cool. Like
And then what
I
one?
don't have a lot.
There's a two. That's fine. This is a two-part question. What one word would you use to describe your recovery?
Uh, Consistent.
Great. All right. And then what's your proudest moment in recovery so far?
Um, this is kind of cheesy, but I remember what I remember really like noticing like, oh, my family like calls me.
Yeah.
You
Not
know, they
cheesy.
used to
That's
just
great.
it wasn't like a specific moment, but I remember one day being like, oh, my mom has like called me on the phone, or my dad will call. You know, they not that I had like really like burned any bridges, but I was just such an absentee like flake that they just knew not to even bother. Like, you know, what I sort of I'm like, oh, they think of me as like a reliable, good son.
Yeah. That's not cheesy at all. No. I mean, my mom passed away. It'll be almost 6 years ago, and she had to go through all these ups and downs with me and stuff. And the times when I was not gambling and I was clean and I wasn't disrupting a life was better between me and her. And so
Yeah.
definitely value that. That's awesome. Um, what's the worst advice someone gave you while you were struggling?
Oh, I had I'm from Kentucky and it's a fucking big drinking area, you know? And I mean, I called a relative that worked in treatment and was like, I think I have this problem. And they were adamant, like, just switch to beer for a month, you know? And I just remember being like, you work in a facility. Like, I am crying on the phone, like, you know, and they're like, "Oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it." You know, I just remember being like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, I guess you are. Kentucky must be a bit. You guys have your own liquor that is only made in that state, right? Bourbon has to be made
Yeah,
in Kentucky, right? Yeah.
yeah,
So
pretty much,
yeah,
yeah.
so that's yeah. So you're very that's part of it. It's like, look, you know, you're gonna hurt the industry here.
Yeah, right. What are you fucking trying to tank the economy?
And then last question: what advice do you have for someone that is struggling?
Um, I think, man, I think the best advice is just to realize it's going to get worse, not better, if you don't do something. You know, I feel like a lot of people think they're going to turn it around, or, you know, and I just haven't seen that happen. You know,
Yeah.
if you got something going on, it's time to address it. It's not really these kind of things don't seem to like work themselves out on their
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's not a pulled muscle. So
own. can't can't
yeah.
walk it off. Can't
Well,
can't
good.
walk it off away from that bookie.
From here on in future, I'm sending these to the guests, and that was the first time he did great. Like
No, hey.
as soon as I asked the song, I'm like, you're not going to have this locked and loaded. Why am I asking like these? Like
Well,
some of
no,
them, you know.
they're great. They're all great questions. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, that's it. Thanks for being here, Brandon.
Hey, thank you.
If you want to follow him on Instagram, it's Brandon Michael Vaughn. And watch Ridiculousness.
It's on
Um,
at any time of the day.
just turn on the TV. It's on.
We'll be there.
Thanks again for being here, man.
No, of course, buddy. Thank you.
All right. Thanks again to Brandon Vaughn. What a great time that was. Really enjoyed that. There was, you know what? I start off these podcasts because this is, what number is this? 19 or 18? I think this is 18. I said, and I think to myself, we've already talked about everything, but you haven't because it's life. And no matter what, you're always going to, it's always amazes me how something will get touched on and there's a little story is told and then that triggers something else. And then amazing. Love doing this podcast. Thank you guys for listening. Keep up the support. And like I say always, if you're feeling shitty, you're feeling like you might harm yourself, or you're just feeling down and you need to talk to someone, call a suicide or a crisis hotline, 988-988 in USA and Canada. You know, the other countries just not as good. Wikipedia page. Wikipedia. What is the name of it? The list of suicide crisis lines. They've got it. You know how I feel about you, Germany. You too, UK. Bullshit. Finland, you're a little better. Why did I choose Finland? Oh, you know what? I remember. I looked at what people were listening to on this podcast. I was like, UK, Australia, 13, 11, 14. Yeah. By the way, I forgot to talk about all the shows that are coming up. I'll do that next podcast. I have time. Thanks for listening, everybody.